Thank you. All right, this next one is actually a medley of a couple of pieces of music. The first one will feature once again Mr. Pedro Eustache playing a
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. A pleasant good morning and a special welcome to those joining us online. I am Stephanie Daniels, Communications Officer with UNICEF Belize, and I'll be taking you through this morning's program. As we begin today's short ceremony, I invite you to stand as we play our national anthem. You're welcome to sing along.
Almighty and eternal God, who through Jesus Christ has revealed your glory to all nations, please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. God of might, wisdom, and justice, please assist our Belizean government and people with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct their plans and endeavors, so that with your help we may attain our just objectives. With your guidance, may all our endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. We pray, O God of mercy, for all of us, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your most holy law, that we may be preserved in union and in that peace which the world itself cannot give. And after enjoying the blessings of this life, please admit us, dear Lord, to that eternal reward that you have prepared for those who love you. Amen.
You may be seated. Honorable Francis Fonseca, Minister of Education, Culture, Science and Technology. Ambassador Lily Li Wen Shu, Ambassador of Taiwan to Belize. Ambassador Nicole Davidson, British High Commissioner to Belize. Diane Mejia, Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science, and Technology. Jose Urbina, Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics, and E-Governance. Ms. Alison Parker, UNICEF Representative to Belize. Sophia Farrar, Strategy Advisor, Giga Team Office of Global Innovation from New York. Anusha Ramaskin, Country Support Specialist, Giga Team from the Office of Global Innovation in New York. Heads of UN agencies and government partners, instrumental in implementing today's partnership. Special invited guests and those joining us online, and of course members of the media. Welcome to the launch event and signing ceremony for the Giga Partnership for Belize. To provide opening remarks, please help me welcome to the podium Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science, and Technology, Ms. Diane Mejia.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning, Minister, Allison, ambassadors, partners, friends. Good morning. It's really a pleasure, and I'm lucky this time because I get to start this off. When you have to finish is when you have trouble, because then everybody has said everything that needs to be said. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. You know, this ceremony that we're going to have will be brief, but I hope that if you walk away with nothing else this morning, you walk away with an appreciation for the partnership that has already brought us to this point. That paper that was shared just now with you says transforming education through technology, and then it says a partnership for Belize. And that's really where we are today. That's where we're starting. It's actually where we started not so long ago. You know, I'll share with you, last week I had an opportunity to visit Corazon Creek Technical High School. And if anyone knows where that is, you'll know that it's not an easy road to get there. When we were returning from Corazon Creek, it was just the chief and I in the vehicle, and she said, "Why don't we stop at a school?" I said, "Okay." So we stopped. And the first school that we stopped at was Sundaywood RC. And it was early afternoon. And we literally pulled over and jumped out of the car and opened the gate and walked in. And we walked to the first building that we came up, and we heard singing. It was an Infant 2 Standard 1 classroom. It's a multi-grade school. And the children in that classroom were standing at attention, proudly and loudly singing the national anthem with their teacher in front of them. And it was such a powerful moment. This was just a random stop, literally, completely spontaneous. As a matter of fact, we stood there, and I couldn't figure out what was more important, for me to try to rub off the goosebumps on my hand, or to grab my phone and try to video this, or, you know, what should I do? Or just to sing with them. And when they were finished, the teacher comes to the door and she says, "Good afternoon, can I help you?" And she had no idea who we were, right? Which is fine, but it was so powerful. And then the children said, "Teacher, pledge. Teacher, tribute." And that, my friends, is why we do what we do. Because across this country, whether you're in Sundaywood or San Ignacio or anywhere else, there are children in this country who will, if they're taught and they have good models, proudly and loudly stand and sing their anthem and know how to recite the tribute. I don't want to run a test and say, let's stand up and see how many of y'all can do that. But those children could. And that's why it's important for us to work together to transform education. That's why it matters. I had that very special opportunity to see and to hear those children and to engage with them. And one of them wants to be a soldier, he already knows. That's why we do what we do. The technology component matters. They have internet and electricity because of, not because of the government of Belize, because of another partnership in that village. But it's a reminder for us, and my colleague knows this, CEO Urbina, because we've spoken about this, how important it is for us to try to reach all villages, all areas for technology. And my friends at Digi know that it's not enough for us to just put internet in the schools. We then have to figure out what are we really doing with it? How is it being used? When is it being used? What happens on the devices that the children are connected to? So a little bit of what you will hear and participate in this morning is information that will help you to see that the efforts to transform education through technology have indeed been partnership efforts. Like I said, they started not too long ago. We have people who have been working double time and triple time to get us to where we are, and we're happy that you're represented here. We're grateful for you. We're grateful for the partnerships. So good morning, and thank you for being here, and enjoy and appreciate and remember that the only way that we make a difference for those children in Sunderwood and across this country is that we each have to do our part. Thank you so much.
Thank you, CEO Mahia, for those endearing words. I think it's always, one thing I always get from her is that she's speaking from the heart. And this is not just a vocation, this is not just a profession, this is her vocation. So I think that's important for people in leadership, that we understand and can feel that your heart is in it as well. So thank you for those warm welcome. UNICEF Belize continues to support the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology to reimagine education, to transform education through curriculum reform, STEM, support to climate-smart resilience in schools, and to radically scale up digital learning solutions. To speak a bit more about UNICEF's agenda and why this was so critical to the UNICEF Belize team, I invite to the podium Ms. Alison Parker, UNICEF representative to Belize.
Good morning. I think let me try again. Good morning, everyone. I think there's a popular saying, protocols being established, so I really do want to recognize this morning the partners that are around this room. As CEO mentioned, I think I could not say more in terms of welcoming remarks, as highlighting the issue of partnership and national ownership. I think these are the two fundamental pieces that she has shared this morning, and how proud the government is to be leading such a process. Honorable Minister Francis Fonseca, Her Excellency Lili Wenhu from the Embassy of Taiwan to Belize, the High Commissioner of the British High Commission to Belize, Her Excellency Nico Devesen, Ms. Diane Maher, the CEO of Ministry of Education. I was just sharing with the Minister this morning that I think we have an office in each other's offices, you know. We've met so often over the last couple of months that, you know, the offices are becoming a shared space. CEO Jose Obina, the CEO of the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics and E-Governance, a deep appreciation for you being here this morning. My colleagues from UNICEF New York, Sophia and Anusha, thank you so much to the Giga team for being here today. Heads of UN agencies here, I do recognize my colleagues from UNDP, UNHCR, and the Resident Coordinator's Office. Representatives from our mobile service providers, both Digi and Smart, we want to thank you for being here and for being amazing partners in advancing technology in Belize. To our special invited guests, to the teachers in the room, and the students who would have loved to be here, but we didn't want to take them out of class today. We wanted the room to be full of them, but we wanted them also not to miss on learning. So if you don't see the students here, that's why they're not here, but I'm sure maybe there are a few of them on their gadgets. You know, they're very savvy with that. There might be a few of them on their gadgets here. So today is an important milestone for us as UNICEF collectively. This has been a journey, as CEO had mentioned, where based on the Belize Education Sector Plan, a fundamental pillar has been the transforming education agenda and advancing digital technology as a key part of that. Emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic, we could not re-emphasize or further emphasize why it is so important to bridge the inequities that have made it so glaring as we emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic. It cuts across both developed and developing countries in terms of rural-urban, in terms of gender considerations, in terms of those, those most left behind, those affected by conflict, those from minorities and indigenous communities, those who've never been able to access the most minimal device or even understand what those mean. And this is a fundamental opportunity for us to bridge that divide. Education, as we all know, is a fundamental human right, and it's something that we have all held with tremendous passion. The Transforming Education Summit held last September, organized by the UN Secretary General, was fundamental in bringing member states together and ensuring that governments can make a commitment, sustained commitment to the children's agenda. Throughout history, it has been a source of personal dignity and empowerment and a driving force for the advancement of social, economic, political, and cultural development. Yet today, this great enabler, education, has also become a great divider, beset by inequalities and struggling to adjust to the needs of the 21st century. If we are to transform our world by 2030 as envisaged by the Sustainable Development Goals, then the international community, together as partners, must give this crisis the attention it deserves. We must respond decisively with conviction, with imagination, and in solidarity if we are to achieve this laudable agenda. In a world that is experiencing a fourth industrial revolution, nearly half of all students globally do not complete secondary school, and a full 700 million adults are illiterate, the majority of whom are women and girls. Education disparities are often related to income, to race, to gender, and reinforce, in some cases, privileges and further entrench poverty. Across these different contexts, the impacts are greatest on those who already are marginalized and disadvantaged, with migrants and displaced persons as well as refugees being at the sharpest end of this exclusion spectrum. Study after study and poll after poll draw the same conclusion. Education systems are no longer fit for purpose. Young people and adults alike report that education does not equip them with the knowledge, experience, skills, or values needed to thrive in a rapidly and dynamically changing world. Learning continues to underplay skills, including problem-solving skills, critical thinking, and empathy. Employers complain of a major skills mismatch whilst many adults are left with little or no access to affordable training and reskilling opportunities. So why are we here today? We are here today because, together with the government of Belize, we do believe that this is a critical moment where we can address these inequities that have been highlighted. The increasing adoption of ICTs, information, communication, and technology, and the growing marketplace for digital goods and services are creating opportunities for young people to find appropriate skill sets and employability that transcends traditional paradigms. The growth potential of digital learning platforms is promising. An initial assessment based on Mexico City's digital learning platforms demonstrates that by 2022-2023, the global emerging market revenue for digital learning could be up to 7 to 15 billion US dollars, with up to 300 million users. That's an amazing opportunity. To catalyze the market, global tech companies, governments, and foundations could use their strength to invest in better and cheaper connectivity, build and distribute high-quality content, and help build the evidence for new ways of content delivery support, which in this case involves our teachers, our principals, our parents, and our children. So today, UNICEF is proud that we can bring that very solid partnership with Giga and ITU. I believe a lot of us already know what UNICEF does, but for Giga, the agenda for Giga is to ensure that every school across the globe are connected by 2030. It's an almost impossible or insurmountable feat, but Giga started only in 2019 and almost foreknowledge of what could happen in 2020. And today, over 2.6 million schools have been connected already. So we are marching towards 2030. It is a collective and agenda. And I think every government and every nation state and every territory and realm are hoping that they can be part of that agenda. In the Latin and Caribbean region, I am proud to say that Belize is a trailblazer for the Caribbean. The only other two countries in the region are Honduras and El Salvador. So let me use this opportunity to say hats off again to the government of Belize, especially the Ministry of Education, for being innovative, for taking the risk, for being daring, and confronting the status quo to bring a change and a revolution for relevant 21st century learning, employability, and upskilling for the children of the future. I look forward to this amazing partnership. We commit as UNICEF that we will be with you all the way. In the high-level conversation we had yesterday, we informed you that this initiative is not just a project, it's a partnership. And here we will be with you if it takes us till 2030 to ensure that every school in Belize is connected and every school has adequate access to connectivity, not just being connected, but having the actual bandwidth that is necessary for them to connect will be important. We will be there to provide the technical assistance, not just in terms of training the personnel, but training the teachers as well, providing the relevant apps that you would need to monitor the schools and make sure that we can reach them. I do not want to take away the excitement that will be shared when they do their presentation, so I'm cutting my speech not to share what they will be sharing in the presentation, where we will be mapping every single school in Belize. And by a click, you can tell the name of the school, where they are, what connectivity they have, and I think you'll be amazed to see what has already been achieved so far. So today is the beginning of a journey, and I do count on our partners here, both bilateral and multilateral, the private sector. Please join us. Make every child have access to relevant connectivity. It's not just about learning, it's not just about education, it's about a community, it's about transforming Belize. And with the size of the population and the political will we currently have, I believe that together we can achieve this. I thank you for your attention, and I wish us all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allison, for those passionate words, always articulating UNICEF's commitment and putting today's significance into context. Thank you. The government of Belize has signed on to Giga, a commitment to provide connectivity for all primary and high schools in Belize. And I think we ought to take a moment to kind of reflect on, like was mentioned before, how significant that paradigm shift is. Moving from seeing technology as the tablets that kids play on to now being, or the internet that we think they idle on, to now being an integral part of them learning and for them to be successful as digital citizens. So indeed, as has been mentioned by all our previous speakers, we're looking at an innovative way to transform education. And so I think the next presentation is the most important of today, explaining what this partnership is and how it will benefit our children and how it has already been benefiting the children of Belize. So to deliver, I call on Sophia Farrar, and I don't want to mess your name up, so I'll take my time, Anusha Ramakrishnan, to do the presentation on behalf of the Giga team from UNICEF New York.
Thank you, Stephanie. I would venture to guess that we are actually the least important of all the amazing speakers who are speaking here today. To be representing the Giga team here, to be celebrating the work that we have been doing, that you have been doing, and that we will be doing together in the coming years. Sorry, I think I got ahead of myself. So I'd just like to add a few words really to expand on what's already been said and to talk a little bit about how Giga thinks about really understanding the value add that school connectivity can bring, not just to students and teachers, but to a society overall, to really make that case for why it's so important for us to work together to achieve that universal school connectivity for Belize. Usually when I a presentation on Giga, I start with the challenge, really the thing that we're looking to solve. And unfortunately, they're really big numbers. 1 out of 3 people globally don't have access to the internet. That is the equivalent of 2.7 billion people. Or another sad number is that nearly half of the world's schools don't have access to the internet, which is the equivalent of about 500 million students and young people. But what I am really excited to be able to share today, and what I think is actually a better starting point, is a more positive spin. And it's one that I saw yesterday, visiting schools in the Stan Creek district. And we visited a school, Christ the King Anglican, where students had recently been connected as part of the ministry's efforts. And it was so amazing to see these children, how excited they were to talk to us about how they're using the internet, to tell us how the teacher was quizzing them using these applications, and they were so excited to even share how they were competing with their peers to prove how much they were learning. And it went beyond the students. We spoke with a teacher who talked to us about how much potential there was in her ability to really grab the attention of her students, to communicate the power of what technology and science can mean for them by using kind of the best-in-class tools that were at her disposal. And this is something that we see a lot with Giga, and that we encourage to work together to sort of capture and drive towards, is this idea that school connectivity can actually really go beyond just education, just the internet for those students in the more limited sense, but we can think about the ways that internet becomes a connector with the students, the teachers, and also the community around it. And as Giga, we really hope to work with you to kind of bridge that connection, to connect to the e-governance initiatives already ongoing, to think about how that school connectivity can connect to disaster relief and recovery,
There are so many different use cases for this connectivity, and I think that we underappreciate the value that it brings to Belize if we don't quite understand that. So we look forward to working with you to kind of measure that impact and to build that understanding of school connectivity together. And so Allison beat me to the punch, but this is the mission of Giga, which is to connect every school to the internet by 2030. And I'm really, really excited to say that I feel like Belize is going to absolutely beat that target. You are definitely ahead of many, many places that we work with. So we're so excited to work alongside you and amplify the incredible work that's already in progress here in Belize. As we always say, this work really starts with a map. You can't solve a challenge that you cannot see. And I'm using Brazil just for a moment because it's big, it's very colorful, it's illustrative in many ways for us. Here, each dot is a school. The red dots don't have access to the internet, and green dots do. Yellow is somewhere in between, where we wish that the internet were better than it is. And this is an amazing place for us to start because it gives us an understanding of where we need to direct our resources, what we need to solve together. And that's where we can begin to really make progress. And what I'm really excited to share, even though today is kind of meant to be the beginning of this journey together, that we have already, through a lot of hard work, achieved this map for Belize. And you can see here that we have mapped 372 schools. These are the primary and secondary schools in Belize. And not only do we have that, we have the connectivity status for these schools. So this is actually available on our Project Connect platform. You can, even if you open up your phone and go to the browser and go to projectconnect.world and navigate to Belize in the map, you can see that there. And this is something that we can use together to track the progress as we move forward. And so, talking with people this week, today, I can appreciate that it wasn't too long ago that the map looked a little bit like this. With blue dots, we weren't sure of the connectivity, there weren't as many schools connected. Through important initiatives taking place that have led us to today, we are here with a full map of Belize with the green, but still some red and still some work to do. And I kind of want to invite you on this vision to where we could be, of turning every dot green and really reaching that place where every child in Belize has access to information, opportunity, and choice. And I think on top of this, I wanted to share sort of a really tangible next step of what Giga is going to do working on connectivity here in the country. And that is to measure not just whether schools are connected, but how connected are they? And what is the impact of that connectivity for them? So I'm going to show you a demo video to close out my remarks, but we are going to start working with the ministry to really roll out this application, which can be installed in schools and can actually turn the map that I was showing into a live map, where you can see on a day-to-day basis what is the speed of that internet on a device level, what is the teacher experiencing, what is the student experiencing. And that is one step that we can take together to really measure that impact of what this school connectivity is having, not just for children and teachers, but also for the community overall. So with that, I will just show you this quick 3-minute video.
The Project Connect Daily Check app works by easily installing it on your computer. Once installed, the user can register on the app by using their school ID. The user is then prompted to confirm the school information to finalize registration. Once installed, you'll see a screen showing a large button to start a test, the location you're in, and a hamburger menu which displays a list of helpful answers to frequently asked questions. The user then clicks on Start Test to check the internet connection speed at their location. Once the speed test starts, the upload and download speeds will appear at the top of the screen, showing the results obtained as the test is running. Once complete, The upload and download speed indicators display the average results of your connection speed during the test. You will also see the ISP you are connected to, the time of the test, and your connection's latency, which is the time it takes for a packet of information to pass from one point to the other. Giga receives this information and can display it on the Project Connect website.
За манай компьютер өдрийнхөө 10 жил болсон болохоор програм суулгахад айгүй хүндрэлтэй, хүчин чадал нь дийлэхгүй, хүүхдэд хүртээмжгүй, интернетэд ерөнхийдөө холбогдож гэсэн айгүй асуудалтай, гацна, хурдсаар мөчн, тэгээд интернет гацаад байхгүй тохиолдол ч гэсэн үе үе гарна. Интернетгүй байх. Дуудлага өгөхөд 1-2 хоног одоо байхгүй бол тэр чигээрээ интернетгүй олж сургуулийн орчин тийм байдал үүсдэг байгаа. Энэхүү програмыг суулгаснаар бид интернетийнхаа хурдыг тогтмол хянах боломжтой болсон, даваа тавтай болсон. Энийг хянаад явах боломж юм.
Daily Checkup is a wonderful tool. It allows us to hold internet service providers accountable for the quality of the service they provide to the schools. It also allows us to hold open and transparent conversations with them on how to improve the services further. I believe Daily Checkup provides a foundation to improve these challenges with the evidence-based approach.
Great. Well, with that, I think I'll just close out by saying thank you so much for having us here today. We're so excited to start getting to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia and Anusha, for walking us through some of the components of the Giga partnership. I had a flashback to being in high school. I'm from the generation that saw computers introduced into high school. And I remember being so excited to go to the computer lab because, we were going to learn about floppy disk. Children these days probably won't know what that is, and MS-DOS and all these things. So, I'm happy to see how far the technology has come and that we're working to give all our children that experience to have the digital skills they need. So thank you for that presentation. Okay, so the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics, and E-Governance is the leading institution for digital transformation, and they had recently launched a national digital agenda for Belize, 2022-2025, aiming to create the enabling environment for a digital government. Today, they are a pivotal partner in ensuring we break barriers and bridge the digital divide. To share on this partnership, please welcome CEO in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics, and E-Governance, Mr. Jose Urbina, to share some reflections.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I was listening to Miss Alison Parker's remark, and I go like, oh man, she included everything I wanted to say in my speech. But it's very important to highlight that from a ministry perspective, there are many strategies and there needs to be an alignment with strategies. And even within our ministry, when we look at the portfolio of energy and e-governance, there's a lot of likeness in what we do. We cannot provide technology services if we don't have electricity, if these rural communities are not electrified. And under the energy unit, there is a project with several founding agents to really try to electrify communities, rural communities, if I may add, countrywide. When we look at our electrification rate, we're at 93% approximately. Persons using generators and car batteries, using some very innovative ways to get access to some sort of electricity, we can say we are about 95 to 96%. So there's a lot of potential, a lot of need. When we look at almost 28 rural communities that need electricity, we need to ask ourselves, how do we achieve 100%? Like us discussing how do we achieve 100% of school connectivity, we also need to look at how do we correlate that with electrification, because they go hand in hand. And how do we highlight the priorities when we look at which schools would be next? How do we relate that to the BEL expansion plan? How do we relate that to the ministry's perspective in terms of which village will be electrified next through PV solar or mini grids, as we refer to it in the ministry? So that is very important for us also. Protocol being established, I would also like to extend apologies for my minister not being here. But I must also begin by highlighting that Giga is an ideal synergy for the National Digital Agenda 2022-2025. The National Digital Agenda speaks of ICT and technology enablers, which is comprised of three strategic themes: connectivity and inclusive access, digital infrastructure, and horizontal platforms, two of which the Giga project incorporates and has as its main objectives. The Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics, and Governance, with the leadership of Minister Shabat, through the National Digital Agenda, seeks to expand and promote reliable internet connection and access to rural areas in Belize to support the use of digital services and mobile applications, in addition to educational and sharing of content. When I saw the app to test connectivity, I think the Digi team were shaken and smart, because now we start to speak about quality of service, right? No? I like the... I stand corrected. But yes, indeed now we start to look at the quality of service and the quality of internet access that now we provide, not to only these communities, but also to our people in general. Today, our people can see tangible results through great collaboration with different entities, the UNDP, Beltrade, and ICDF, in establishment of digital connect centers. At the ministry, we are very serious about closing the digital divide. There are so many ways we can use these digital connect centers to increase capacity, to reduce the digital gap, to provide telemedicine. There's a lot of interministerial collaboration that can take place. I must also mention the collaboration with our telecoms, primarily the National Telecom, Digi. We must ask ourselves, what is the value of expanding connectivity? There have been many studies to collaborate connectivity and GDP, or socioeconomic development. One, opening the gates of information to our students is imperative to ensure better preparation, better exposure, and the creation of employment in rural areas. Today, we don't need to be sitting in an office to be employed. In this globalized world and borderless world, as I refer to it, we can be working anywhere in the world from our homes. Not to mention the spark of micro and small enterprises within these communities. This is where we must link the micro, small, medium enterprise strategy from under the office of the Prime Minister to ensure that where we are providing electricity, value-added services as broadband, we can also seek the creation of small enterprises within these villages to make themselves sustainable. We talk about socio-economic prosperity. The Giga project provides hope to rural schools and by extension to communities that one day they will be connected. The Giga project provides hope to rural communities that will be able to access online government services, access to unlimited educational content to enhance learning of our children. Expanding connectivity will facilitate access, adoption, and application of information and communication technologies by marginalized communities as a means of socio-economic prosperity. Today, we're currently working with the digital transformation of the Vital Statistics Unit. We hear the cry from our residents in PG, it's too far to come to the city for the application of a birth certificate. Now, within the next year, we will see that that service would be online. They would need internet access to be able to apply. So this is the relationship we need to create to ensure that broadband is present. I would also like to add, the partnership is important. The partnership within government. A clear example here today between the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics and E-Governance. We need our telcos. We need the regulator. Yesterday we spoke about other technologies, Starlink. Those are discussions we need to have. The regulator needs to be included in the discussions of how this will be applied. And of course, we will not use a service that would cannibalize our local service providers. We also need the engagement of our policymakers. We need to ensure that the right policies are in place for a successful implementation of the Giga project. In closing, I would like to continue the gigantic task in partnership with everyone here present today of nation building, because that's the reality. That is what we're doing. And I'm also looking forward for the positive results that this great partnership will lead. So thank you very much.
Thank you, CEO Irvina, for those reflections and for underscoring that this is an all-of-government approach to increasing connectivity. The implementation of internet connectivity in schools has the potential to significantly enhance learning outcomes for students. Under his leadership, there has been major advancements in empowering our children to learn in this digital era. I invite now to the podium to deliver his remarks the Honorable Francis Fonseca, Minister of Education, Culture, Science and Technology.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Allow me to begin by, of course, acknowledging all of our distinguished guests who are here with us today, Your Excellencies, our good friends, ambassadors and representatives of the government of Taiwan and the United Kingdom, our good friend, Ms. Alison Parker of UNICEF. Good to see you again. Our CEOs from the government of Belize, from our two ministries, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Public Utilities. The Deputy Chief Education Officer, Cecilia Ramirez-Smith. Our friends from Giga, New York, thank you for being with us here today. Representatives of our telecoms, Digi and Smart, and all of our other distinguished friends and guests who are here with us today. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to join you this morning for the launch of the Giga Partnership for Belize. You know, it's been 2 very good days for education, and indeed 2 very good days for Belize. Just yesterday I had the privilege of being in San Joaquin village in Corozal, at San Joaquin Roman Catholic Primary School. And I was joined there by the Minister of Agriculture and also by the Minister of National Defense, who is the representative for that community. And we were there to really launch what we call the Belize Resilient, or it was the handing over ceremony for the Belize Resilient School Feeding Program, which is a part of our government's larger National Healthy Start feeding program. So that program, of course, is all about making sure that our students, both at the primary school level and at the secondary school level, but we're starting at the primary school level, that our students, wherever they live in this country, have an opportunity to get a healthy meal, a healthy, nutritious meal, at least 1 meal per day while they are at school. Because we know how important that is to learning, to education. And so today we are here for another important objective, both for education and our country. We recognize and appreciate the work of UNICEF and the International Telecommunications Union to create this ambitious, bold, and progressive global initiative called Giga. The government of Belize has signed on to Giga with the objective of providing connectivity for all primary and secondary schools in Belize. UNICEF Belize, Giga, along with the Ministries of Education and Public Utilities and E-Governance, have developed a work plan, completed the necessary terms of references, and done some preparatory work and data collection and analysis for the first phase of mapping for Giga in Belize. The government of Belize recognizes that access to technology is essential for developing a modern, effective education system and for achieving the ultimate goal of sustainable human development. Therefore, building a robust technology infrastructure across the education system is a key strategic imperative of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology. The aim is to make innovative use of science and technology to transform teaching and learning. The ministry has invested in training teachers to integrate technology into their instruction. However, many students are unable to benefit from this initiative due to lack of access to appropriate digital learning devices. Access to digital learning devices and, of course, the internet will increase the quality and equity of Belize's education system, resulting in the achievement of better learning and employment outcomes for students and increased human and economic productivity for Belize. Technology is a major theme and key component of the Belize Education Sector Plan 2021-2025. Technology is integrated into all domains of the BS plan. Under the Reforming the System of Education domain, the Ministry of Education plans to use technology to improve education services and decision making and to ensure access to technology to reduce the inequities in education. Under the Transforming Teaching and Learning domain, the ministry plans to integrate science and technology concepts and approaches into the curriculum and develop tools to facilitate online learning, student assessment, and professional development. Technology will also be used to increase access, responsiveness, and support to students in need under the prioritizing underserved sectors domain. And under the maximizing human capital domain, it will be used to promote online learning and provide students in the technical vocational education training, tertiary and adult education sectors with the technology skills that they need to be productive in work and in life. Access to technology such as the internet and digital devices is recognized as essential for teaching and learning in the 21st century. The COVID-19 pandemic has made these technologies even more essential. Belize entered a lockdown in March of 2020 due to the COVID pandemic, which forced education services to continue through distance learning for the remainder of that academic year and well into 2020-21. Although 45% of preschools and 40% of primary schools provided some online content, printed packages were the only accessible means of continued learning for the majority of students. Most secondary schools used a blended learning approach with online classes for students who had access and printed packages for those who did not. Online learning was most common in secondary schools located in urban areas. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology is fully committed to the success of this Giga partnership. Too many of our students and teachers still lack access to adequate, reliable internet services and digital devices. Our Connect Ed partnership with Digi complements this important work, as does our partnership with the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, which has resulted in hundreds of students gaining access to digital devices. Working together, we are closing the digital divide, but much work remains to be done. The launch of this Giga partnership today gives us hope and optimism. Using technology, we will transform our education system, our economy, our society, and our country. So thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Minister Fonseca, for your commitment to ensuring the children of Belize has access to connectivity and that they can be comparable and compete in our digital era. At this time, we will get to the moment we've been waiting for, where we actually sign the official letter of interest indicating Belize's intent to join the Giga initiative. So for that signing, we will call on Minister Fonseca to go to the signing table, as well as CEO Urbina, who will be signing on behalf of the Ministry of Public Utilities. So you're signing 3 copies for our 3 partners, but it is from both of your ministries. And just to read you a portion of what that agreement says, it is with great enthusiasm that the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology and the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics and E-Governance submit their request for joining the joint UNICEF ITU initiative GIGA with the aim of mapping and connecting all our schools. And with your signatures, you formalized our agreement. Round of applause. And because this is such a milestone moment, we've also made a ceremonial signing sheet that we'll ask you to sign to commemorate this day. And I will ask Francisco to support. All right, round of applause for the children of the Lees who will greatly benefit. I now invite to join you for an official photo, Miss Allison Parker, Sophia and Anusha, CEO Mejia, and Denise Roberto. Today's milestone is a testament to the government and UNICEF's commitment to improve access to connectivity for children to learn and participate as digital citizens. To share some closing remarks and to acknowledge all those who made today possible, I would like to call on Denise Roberto, ECD and Education Officer with UNICEF Belize.
Thank you. We're very thankful for you all being here with us today to join in the celebration of this milestone in digital transformation. I'm honored to thank Honorable Francis Fonseca, Minister of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, Mrs. Allison Parker, UNICEF Representative, Her Excellency Lily Li Wenshu, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, Her Excellency Nicole Davison, British High Commissioner to Belize, Mrs. Diane Mejia, Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, Mr. Jose Urbina, Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics and E-Governance, Mrs. Cecilia Ramirez Smith, Deputy Chief, Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, representatives and heads of our sister UN agencies, our team visiting from Giga, and other stakeholders and invited guests. Thank you very much. With the valued partnerships formalized today, we can ensure that learning is transformative, relevant, and sustained, even in times of emergencies. It is the right of every Belizean child to have access to quality learning. Together, we can bridge the digital divide. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Denise. And with that, we've come to the close of our ceremony. I close with an open invitation to you all to join the convoy because we will be visiting some of the schools to see the Giga program in person and live, right? So there will be vehicles available so you can stay behind and we will coordinate the transport. Thank you for being an attentive audience in person and online and for being a part of this momentous occasion. Do continue to have a productive day and God bless.